here. An agentic build is a couple of the things that you mentioned, and here's the big differentiator. Is it responsive? Yes, it will respond to requests, but it is capable of doing far more to produce that response. So you could ask an LLM or a search engine, how do I create a painting company? You get a response, right? An agent, you could not only say, how do I create a painting company? You could say, create me a painting company. From there, it doesn't look to give you answers. Now we're talking about an agentic build right now, true agentic AI. It doesn't look to give you answers because you didn't ask for an answer. You asked for a product. You asked for something. So it says, okay, let me see what it takes to start a business. Oh, you need an EIN number. Okay, well, as an agent, I'm not just responsive, I'm proactive. If I'm allowed to, that's a big part of this. I'm actually going to submit a new EIN number. I'm going to use Steve's information. I'm going to look through the conversations we've had and realize he's in Florida. He has 2 C Corps, so we're going to make this a C Corp. Okay, I need a bank account. Okay, well, so I'm actually going to go and file for a bank account. You have, in 2026, you still need to be involved in that. Are you starting to see the difference there, though?
Yeah.
So one's responsive as in, hey, you're kind of getting a pretty boxed in end product. An agent is able to actually say, in order to execute on what I'm being asked to do, I have to create work for myself that wasn't asked it. You didn't ask it to get an EIN number. You didn't ask it, maybe another step in that process is, hey, I'm going to look at the fail success rate and I'm going to look at what is consistent among painting companies in Southwest Florida, because I also know that's where Steve is. So you never asked it to do any of that. You asked it to build you a company. And it wasn't just responsive because it understood what you were trying to do in a larger context and is able to say, okay, there's other things I need to do. There's other things I need to know that Steve did not ask me directly that I need to accomplish in order for this end goal, which may be 90 steps removed. So you could ask GPT to do that same thing. It's probably going to putter out. And the default for when it putters out, it just kind of knows it can't execute on that, is it's going to find a point in there that takes a lot of work to either ask you to do it or outright say, hey, I can't do that with my current system. So we'll actually do a couple of those today. Because what I have learned about public opinion on AI over the past 6 years is there's never been a technology that is both, this is simultaneously over and underestimated. Another question from Steve.
Well, yeah, because what I want to go through then is you talked about the 7 basic steps to starting the painting company that it will proceed with. And then maybe I want to add, along with your 7 steps that you will start to find for me, please include and make a landing page for me. Please include an email address and Gmail for me. Please include, so I can add these steps to it and it will perform as part of that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So let me pull back that layer. This is great. This is obviously a great line of question because here's where an agent starts to really outperform LLMs in this conversation.
Okay.
So what you just said was essentially, what if I established there are some things in this process that are standard anytime I want to do this process? So this may not make sense. Let's say you were a serial entrepreneur that only started painting companies. Probably not a great idea. I see a lot of benefit in having multiple painting companies. However, what an agent could do in that case, without you asking, is realize that Steve has a couple requirements because he starts a bunch of painting companies. And you just mentioned what those requirements were. So it can then use that information that you've added, and now that is part of the process. But it's not part of one process. Remember, we're moving away from just being responsive, where I essentially have to poke it every time I want to do something. An agent can understand that what you do is start painting company. Because after 4 or 5 requests to build you a painting company, it's going to have the context to say, hey, this isn't the one-off. This is what we do. So what are some other things I can do as an agent? Like this is how the agent would be talking if I had one of those little cartoon bubbles, right? By the way, does everybody know if you want to understand what your agent's doing while it's compiling work, you have access to that. You can see it.
Usually compiles it, but you can spread it out.
So, and that gets overlooked a lot,
Yeah.
right? That gets overlooked a lot. However, if you're not getting the results you want, you can see exactly what the machine is doing. It will tell you, compiling, sourcing information, comparing business models, whatever that is. It will actually list it. And by the way, that's for your use specifically. The designers of these things made it so that you don't have to ask the question, how do we get it? Like, how is this a result, right?
So you were asking earlier what we've kind of learned lately. And one thing is for agentic or going into agents, because I had no idea in the beginning. I started creating GPTs, and that's not an agent. That's a skilled person of AI. And so I got into that, and using Claude, it sends back code and stuff all the time, and those become skillage and knowledge sets. And then you save those as files, and then you put that into the brain or the knowledge set of that agent. And it's crazy to get into that now and build those out. But to utilize them is where the value.
Yeah, and there's some good news in there. There's a little nugget of gold in what he just said. If you are an early adopter or an adopter at all of AI, you have tried and failed to build a ton of GPTs. My guess is 3 or 4 to 1. You 3 or 4 that you're never going to use again because you destroyed them. You didn't understand what you were doing, and you have to do a bunch of stuff. Now it's giving you prices on car parts instead of doing your taxes, right? Like you've gone, they're 2-part. You didn't lose any of that work. Not only did you train yourself, but are moving into a place where agentic is going to be a lot more part of the conversation. And agentic builds can use all those mistakes, by the way, that you built, because it likes to know how you make mistakes, right? It likes to know, how did we get to the point where you're using me? That's actually useful knowledge for that. So again, another way to look at these things is you have your LLMs, you have your GPT, your et cetera, the stuff that was really cool 2 or 3 years ago. That's task oriented. It does tasks, sometimes pretty complex tasks. Like it can have multiple steps. You move into an agent, which again is not an agentic build, but an agent has a defined purpose in life. It says no to stuff, where an LLM doesn't. LLMs are very general. An agent, and if you were here in the past classes, we're not that cool. We don't have episodes. You were here for the past couple times. We built them live. And when you're building a Gemini Gem Copilot on Microsoft, you're essentially moving from that task-oriented thing that does the thing you have to poke at every time, and getting it a little closer to being able to be autonomous in completing large form tasks and being more creative. And again, far on the right is the agent, who's going to do a lot of these things on their own. Now that may seem like it's a small change. It is the world of difference between an LLM and a true agentic build. When we get into agentic builds, and we're going to touch a little bit on this today, we're approaching something that is an analog to a human being in the workplace for a lot of settings. Not everything, but a lot of settings. Does that answer all the preliminary? Please ask.
That's great. And so on top of that, then, what I envision is that agent producing the lead generation source, taking everything out of my Excel spreadsheet, so the, 5,000 contacts that I have, emailing every one of them with, hey, this is what we're doing now, making the phone call, following up on the phone call, reverting them to the landing page, and answering any questions that they have via a voicemail or, a callback. And then being able to schedule the appointment for the initial sale, and or if they can go ahead and do the estimate themselves based on square footage. If you could please provide us the square footage, etc., and then go ahead and tell us your color schemes, and then there you go. Here's a general estimate.
So what you just described can be done with a series of LLMs and agents or one agentic build. that understands that whole flow. You're always going to be limited if you only have LLMs and agentic flows. You're always going to be limited. You can put a lot of time and effort into them, but where you really get freed up to step away and really have the system doing what it can do is in an agentic build that can understand all of that,
Right.
but also understand you have a schedule and there's prime time for schedule. You may not have mentioned it, but it also knows that requires guys. And we have to schedule multiple people. And there's celebrations. People take time off work. It can account for those kind of things. Well, some people, I think. Yeah, lady behind you had a question?
Okay, so I'm living with somebody who's probably master's degree compared to my kindergarten. I have avoided chat GPT.
Okay.
And the reason why is I like to write. What about proprietary?
You missed last Lux.
Oh,
This is a deep pull. Let me give you the long and the short of it. If you were the majority creator of whatever is written, okay, you own it. If you're relying on, again, this is not legal advice, by the way. 2026 Dave Chisholm, it's not legal advice. Okay. If the majority of the content was created off of the GPT, it's not the machine did it, right? So, and here's a good analogy. You ever see those guys? They're artists, but they have the bucket, and the bucket's tied to the string, and they'll push the bucket, and it dumps paint out and makes a cool pattern, right? Who owns that? Hey, because the bucket's not, it doesn't do anything. It's literally following the laws of gravity. They've set that into motion. And because they set it into motion, they're getting some random pattern. They own that. It's original. It's not replicable. When you switch to AI, what AI is going to do, and this is again really bare bones explanation, it's going to look at everybody else who's written things, understand the structure of a story. There needs to be a hero. There needs to be this, that, and include whatever request that you put into that mix. But the majority of the creativity is the machine at that point. Now, if you were to upload 90 pages and say, hey, fill in 10 with some cool connecting stories, you still own that. But if that's a big deal for you, IP lawyers are more than happy to take a ton of your money to give very little.
Thank you very much.
I can send you a presentation on it.
I'll go back to writing.
So again, we'll have tons more time for questions at the end, but I do want to jump into it. So
Alicia Farmanswfleventqueen.
where we're going to start is public safety announcement, plus a little bit of news. Public safety announcement. There is 1,000,001 AI tools on the market right now, specifically for you, your company, what you do, real estate, maintenance, finance. Hey, this is for you. This is specifically for you. One, it's not. I've been in software for 15 years, and I can tell you, company A, that's a general contractor, company B, that's a general contractor, company C, that's a general contractor. When I build custom software for them, it's not the same. Company A, B, and C may be in the same industry. They do not do things the same way. Generalized software is generalized. So when you get excited because somebody built a new AI tool for your industry, no, but it's actually for a guys named Steve. Right? It's that specific. Still wasn't built by Steve. Right? They didn't understand Steve or what he does and what he doesn't do to build that. It's not majority of the time worth the dollars it's going to take to do that. Right? This is what we're seeing in the news more and more. You don't own the information that's on that code. You take and look really closely at the terms and use and condition, those things that people just check the box and they never pay attention to again. Your info is no longer yours when you use that platform. By the way, one of the things that AI tools really like to do is plug into everything else that you have. Sure. Databases, CRMs, right? Just access to all of that. So we're seeing this happen now. This is not a horror story. I wish Steve was here, the other Steve. This is a phenomenon that's really come up in the past couple months where there's a set of AI tools for bookkeeping. I don't want to get in trouble, so I'm not going to use their name. But there's a set of AI tools for bookkeeping and tax. sold to the companies that do bookkeeping and taxes, right? Mitigations, accounting firms. All over this country in the past couple months, all of those tax, and again, this is widespread, and we literally have somebody in the group who experienced this. After onboarding and using those AI tools built by somebody else, it's made just for you, it's perfect. Clients and his own employees are getting directly solicited to leave his company and go work for the software company that he pays every month. Are you getting that? Are you guys hearing what I'm saying?
Wow.
Over here? He bought a tool specifically for his industry, for his company. That tool somehow gained access, which is really easy when you plug an AI tool in that you don't own, to his employees, their contact information, when they're there at work, when they're not, his client list, and shamelessly and actively still attempting to take his employees and his clients away from him. That should scare most people in the room. Does everybody understand what I'm saying here?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
Steve, what do you do every day?
Every day,
Yeah.
make phone calls, get an email.
No, specifically. Give me a like how many guys work for you? How's it work?
That can be anywhere from 5 to 50. Once we schedule the job.
Okay. So let's say I sell you a piece of software.
Yeah.
And I say, hey man, this is going to revolutionize everything you do. It's going to make everything easy. It's going to do everything you want. And it does most of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 weeks from now, all the guys that work for you and all the happy clients that you've had in the past, they start calling you and saying, hey, this guy named Dave made me an offer to be his client, not yours. Hey, by the way, one of your employees, all of your employees come to you and say, hey, by the way, we're getting offers to leave your company and stop working for you and go work for the software company. That puts you off a little bit? You think that's a little shady?
I would think so.
I think that's
But of course, the software doesn't have any what? It doesn't have any conscience. Yes,
the company who signed this. But you signed that terms and conditions without.
Right, you signed that terms and conditions. You didn't read the terms and conditions.
So
Here's
here's where that's really scary. Real estate, finance, any business where getting new clients takes a lot of time and effort that's really scary. That is horrifying because you're giving access to your entire client list and your employees. And the new rules of the game are, I'm going to contact them and I'm going to contact your employees. And I'm going to take them from you because you signed terms and conditions. So again, a little public safety announcement. Do not just sign up for all new AI tools that are around. 100% malicious sometimes, not everybody. But this is a real world thing. Hasn't made the news, doesn't seem to be anywhere very visual. I personally think that's like top 5 things I need to share with entrepreneurs. Like most of the companies selling new AI tools are less than 2 years old. You know, if you ever shit about their reputation, if they go down in flames because they get class action lawsuits, guess what they're going to do? Bankruptcy. I'll be on my yacht while you litigate this, right? So, you know, again, I don't mean to be a fearmonger when I'm up here, but like that's something we need to pay attention to. One last thing, as far as general state of AI, did anybody pay attention to? I know you probably did. The valuation of Anthropic.
No, what? And why should we?
Very good. Great question,
It went
Steve.
straight to $1 trillion.
Right? $1 trillion. Anthropic didn't exist 10 years ago. It didn't exist 10 years ago. You could make the argument. So let's take that case. Let's say we have a company that's 5 years old.
What?
Doesn't produce anything. Nothing tangible, nothing physical. Service-based business. Yes, it's software. Yes, it's incredibly powerful software. Company, $0 valuation. As of right now, it's $1 trillion. Again, that's with a T, not an M, not a B, that's a T. That company, if it went solvent tomorrow, doesn't have assets. No, there's nothing to back that up. If GM goes out of business tomorrow, you have plants, you have plans, you have cars, you have inventory, you got stock, you got infrastructure, real estate. You're going to recoup something there. Anthropic goes out of business. We got a handful of data centers, most of them they rent
Paper.
paper, and $1 trillion disappears from the stock market. Trillion. Now, again, I'm not just trying to scare people, but these are things that are real and are happening, and I think we should at least pay attention.
Because it grew faster than Bitcoin.
It grew faster than the Ebola, and like it's insane. Like, and it's there, right? We have a company that exists today that didn't necessarily exist 5 years ago. It's worth $1 trillion with a T.
Yeah.
That is built and valued only on potential of what they could do someday. Not their new rocket that they built that's been tested that provides a clear value, not an assembly line that produces Tesla, none of that. It's simply, hey, we're valuing this at $1 trillion. It holds a place in our stock market, in our economy, and there is literally nothing it produces besides hope. We don't have any hope. So, last part about Anthropic. 2 months ago, I had this new model. And this new model was badass. It was the bee's knees. It was everything you could ever want. Blew everybody else away. It's called Mythos. Companies that get evaluated that high have a lot of expectations. People want to see new releases. They want to hear the plans that a company like that has, right? How are you going to impact the economy? Why are you worth what you're worth? Their answer was, hey, we got this new thing called Mythos. We simply cannot release it to the public yet because it gives me chills. It poses a threat that we've never seen before. We cannot release this model. So we're not talking about, hey, it can hack some e-commerce sites. The verbiage was, this poses a national security threat because it's so powerful, it can autonomously, accidentally, brute force and hack stuff.
Wow.
That's scary. So again, here's an example. Don't take this as verbatim. They said they can't release it because, for instance, if you said, hey, give me my bank statement, and it didn't know your password, it might say, well, there's only a firewall between the bank and me. Why don't I just break through that and access your information so I can do the thing you asked me to, which was not illegal. You just wanted the bank statement. The model was so powerful and so creative that it posed risks of hacking and doing things that are not legal on accident, let alone if someone deliberately said, I'm going to use this to do things I shouldn't do. 2 months ago. 2 weeks ago, they renamed it Fable and released it to the public. 2 days after that, pulled back. And from my understanding, the first time in history, the federal government has said, hey, this is too dangerous, yank it off the market. And directly said, no foreign national is allowed to touch this or use it. So 2 months ago, too dangerous for the world to have. 2 weeks ago, we named it and released it. 2 days after release, it was pulled off. And by the way, the same law that they used, the federal government, to pull this back was used before in the 50s to restrain the sale of enriched uranium.
Ooh.
So that gives you an idea of how they're looking at this and the weight in which they see these things as powerful. Obviously, in the 60s, our biggest problem was, hey, we don't need everybody to have uranium. We could do some pretty crazy stuff with that. Again, so that's the public safety amount. I want to be able to give you guys a large view of things. I want to be able to talk about the things that I personally think should be in everyone's mind. Let's all take a breath, realize God's good. We're still here. Nobody's nuked each other yet.
Amen.
And
But that's to get back to, I mean, that's the fear. I mean, that's the stuff that we're reading about, hearing about. It's being written. Is that the AI takes over and goes out of control and there's no guardrails.
even accidentally.
Even accidentally.
You don't,
It's already there.
with a system as powerful as we're building right now, you don't necessarily have to tell her. You don't have to be a bad actor.
No.
When we talked about agentic builds, which it's able to make decisions outside of perfect directly asking it to do, which is wonderful.
After you got it.
But it doesn't always have the best grip on morality or ethics. So again, something that you should know, something you should be a little bit familiar with. Anybody have any questions on that or anything before we move on? No? Good. Okay. practical application of AI. Over the past couple of weeks, I've realized, because I've had a couple conversations with some folks who are looking for AI, right? That's what we do. Folks come to us big, small, and in the middle. Hey, give me AI. That's super broad. It's a super broad statement. Give me AI. A lot of times, we don't actually need AI to solve our problems. We need a little bit of software. So over the past couple of weeks, I have realized that there is a huge gap in people's understanding of how capable the models that are on your computer right now are. A lot of you guys are business owners. Is there anybody here who has a business or personally has any sort of data entry involved in their day-to-day?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody does, right?
Yep.
Does that ever require you looking at one of those sheets of paper, a sheet of paper of any type, and physically typing things in?
Mm-hmm.
I was about to make your day as well. Okay. So I had you guys fill out, and I asked you to be sloppy. I'm just going to pick one of them for display purposes.
Oh, are we supposed to pass them around to everybody?
For the purposes, it doesn't matter. If you want to fill them out, you can. I'll grab this.
So what are we doing with this one?
Put your name, your favorite ice cream, and then your birthday.
Different spots?
Yeah.
Yeah, anywhere you want.
And your social security.
Routing.
Just your.
Debit card,
Yeah. Routing.
punch code.
Put that.
Everyone.
And any banking information that might be
It
applicable.
automatically finds out that's name.
Okay, so
At least like birthday.
I asked you guys to do this. It's very simple. By the way, I'm not going to tell the machine what I told you. I'm not going to tell it. I asked for birthdays, names, and favorite kind of ice cream. But we're going to see what happens. This is not text, right? This isn't text. This is handwritten, right? There's a limit to that. This isn't necessarily in a perfect format either, right? So is this the worst case you could get as far as like having to do data entry? Probably not. I'm sure there's other places. Yeah, honestly, it's good. We just
good enough.
yeah. Thank you guys. So is this the worst possible? No, this is probably not the worst possible. But I tell you this, if you're getting something that resembles an Excel spreadsheet pretty closely, it's going to be way easier for this to read, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to snap a picture. All right, snap a picture. We're going to see what happens. By the way, me going through the process of snapping a picture of this is only necessary for display purposes. Not necessarily, you can build systems that do this way easier. We're going to see the limitations to this too. Because again, this is handwritten. We're not going to get a perfect result. I don't like telling people AI gives you perfect results every time. In a good setup system, we're going to migrate out of here. I'm going to go here. To describe to you what I'm doing right now, I'm sending myself an email with one of those pictures. Again, we can absolutely set up systems that do this automatically so that you wouldn't need to snap a picture. If you have forms coming in through email, if you can snap a picture, we can connect this directly to your account so that you don't have to go through the process of doing all that. So, okay, what can I help you with, David? I'm going to ask. Let's see what it says. Let's do this first. So this is sort of an important differentiation too. So I'm going to use my free account. And the reason why this is important is just because you've asked AI to do something for you prior and it didn't work, one, it won't work. I gave you a picture of data. Could you create me a Google sheet with in Google sheet? Okay, let's see what it says. I can't do it. Oh, well, this is a useless. I can't do it. Nope. Okay, so free. Paid account. I'm literally just going to cut, paste, copy, Google Gemini on paid account. This is even an agent. Hey, if I do this, what's home? You can't.
So it lies.
Boy, buddy. Yes. Trust it, but don't trust it too much.
Anybody other listings actually report along and you can actually get that. I see. Yeah. Say like that. I like it. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Cool.
Right, now we're done. So I didn't tell it anything. I just said, I'm going to give you information, put it into a Google Sheet. So it's connecting my workspace. My workspace. Good. I mean, it's something right.
Sorry.
Don't have to think about it.
I what? Ice cream projects. This is important. I said nothing about ice cream, right?
I did look good on you.
So remember that the system, when you get into gems, and not quite agentic, not just your LLM, has the ability to understand and contextualize things. I didn't tell it was ice cream. And that may seem simple from a person. If I see Rocky Road, vanilla, oh yeah, that's probably ice cream. But you asked an interesting question. Did it lie to me? Or was it wrong? Or did it just not know the context? In this case, tell me why that couldn't be milkshakes. Nice. It was fine. They probably are. It said this is ice cream, right? So it's, and by the way, that was an assumption. Remember that when you're dealing with AI, it made an assumption. A really smart one, by the way, because as it was doing its work, it referenced these things and said, hey, the most likely thing here is that these are ice cream flavors. So I want to go look at it.
Spelling.
That's how it did. It's probably not going to be stunning. Okay, here we go. Bill Smith, last name. Okay, cool. Now, that's not impressive because what am I going to do with your ice cream lessons? Not much. However, this is something you do every day. We're not talking about ice cream. We're talking about potential clients, conversations that you had, orders, trades, stock trades, whatever that is. There shouldn't really be a time after this that anybody sits down in front of a computer and types data into your computer, right?
You can take a picture of anything and
You can now if there's 3 items, okay, it's still probably faster than that, right? Please.
So did it, when you pulled that up, so did it actually match the correct flavors to the correct person?
Yeah, and by the way, let's not stop there. If I give it instructions before that and say, let me think of something like, separate this into 2 sheets, one that we're positive is ice cream and one that we're not sure. And then, by the way, all those names are attached to email addresses. The ones we're not sure that they're ice cream, send an email to all those people and confirm that it is ice cream. So again, let's not use ice cream, but are you guys getting how the simplicity of what I just did?
Yeah.
I snapped a picture. I know I only used a sheet this big, guys, but like, there's no limit to that. Could have been a ream of paper. That could have been every contact you have. You feed it into the system. You just created a database. By the way, let's just go back 6 years. If you call a company like me and say, hey, I need you to create a database and give me a ream of paper this big, I'm going to charge you. I'm going to make it worth my time. Seconds. Because if that was 1 sheet or 50, you're not going to see the difference. 1 second, Steve. So take that a little further. What do you want to do with your data? What up until now was just not worth the juice for the squeeze, right? Like, let's say, you know what, I'm taking a trip tomorrow out to Cape Coral, right? That's just on my schedule. I have 5,000 contacts. I wonder if there's anybody likely to buy from me on Cape Coral, I could just stop by. I'm not going to go through 5,000 contacts tonight, figure that out. But if I have a machine that does that in a fraction of a second, that's worth the squeeze. Because now I'm saying, now I have the ability to say, I'm not using AI necessarily to make this decision, but it's only because I have AI, I'm able to operate at this capacity. And that's really what we should look at AI.
It can be a superhuman in yourself.
It's your best friend, superhuman, right? So now I wouldn't go through those 5,000 contacts. It's crazy. Just to maybe have a meeting. Now I can say, hey, based on these parameters, who's most likely to buy me Cape Coral? By the way, here's my route. Give me a couple addresses. I'm going to go buy some donuts and stop by. That's doable now. You'd be a crazy person to try and do that before this. But you have this, again, this isn't some fancy model I have built in my shop.
No, that's exactly what I need you to say.
That's $20.
That's
right?
it. You just.
That's it. Use AI for that kind of stuff, right? So you had a question.
No, that's it. That's where I want to go. But I already have those database. So I already have the list of, who the property managers are, what their emails are.
Cross-referencing.
Right? That's already gave me from the GDPR.
Right?
So all I want to do now is I want the system to go out and email them. Are you currently a property manager? Where are you currently a property manager? And what are the things I can do for you from these 5 lists? Boom, 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 boom. If I can be of help, great. If I can't, don't worry about it. Here's my land home. By the way, here's my landing page. If you need something, if you don't need something,
it's all
here's
possible,
my
Steve.
phone number.
Not only is it possible, again, I have a unique perspective because we've been building these for a long time now. Now, a long time is 3 years, right? But in this industry, 3 years is a very long time. Here's like the number one thing I see, especially in C-suite guys, when we introduce this kind of technology. Every problem, challenge, and solution they thought they were coming to us for are going to be different in 3 months. Because it changes how you think. Again, it didn't make sense to go through do I hate my family? Am I going to go through 5,000 contacts tonight? No, I'm not going to do that. Take that back even further. I could say, hey, what are the metrics in these 5,000 contacts that are most likely based on, hey, agentic build living in my business and seeing success rate, consistencies on emails, what's said that often leads to a sale. All of that information is going to be taken. Who should I not find me? Who do you suggest I go see tomorrow based off how we operate and how we do business? That's a possibility now. You're able to create databases in seconds, which is bonkers. That's just crazy. The way I want you guys to think about databases, right? Because we just watched how we create databases. It's so freaking easy. Databases are power. Databases give you the ability to control your company. Right? Like again, this is easy stuff, but I want you to take away how easy it is so that you actually do it and you actually build your own solutions because you can. So management is the toughest place to implement AI, and here's why. People are great at doing people stuff. I do talk to my AI. It's cool. Helps me out in some really cool ways. Sometimes it encourages me. You can ask it to tell you're handsome in the morning if you really want to.
Your morning
For a friend, ask for a friend, right? I'm saying hypothetically, you could. On the dark side of things, we got AI girlfriends and boyfriends now. By the way, they never get frustrated at you, ever. And they remember, Jen, that you mentioned once that you really like that lavender coffee from that sweet little French shop up in Cabo. They remember that. Remember that.
So those naughty photos they sent back, huh?
Yeah, she did. To who? They're all pixels on an image, right? So that's maybe the bad side of things, right? We don't really want that. It's really good for humans to still talk to humans. We do need to procreate, and AI can't do that yet. Management, man. How do you involve AI in management? Because management is about people, right? Management is about people. You cannot force AI into places that people should be, or you're going to get the results you deserve. Has anyone ever called Comcast?
Oh.
That's always the same response. So I'm guessing from that response, somebody has called Comcast here and not had a lovely experience. Give me 1 second, I'll get you. Before AI came along, Comcast had an absolute monopoly on treating their customers poorly, because they tried to insert automation in a place where you needed people I'm way less frustrated if I feel like somebody's actually attempting to help me. If I have to push one more time
Right.
to get a person, and then an AI comes on again to tell me they're not available. But
And
I
then you
can
push the wrong button and it hangs up on you.
or that, right? Hey, I'm going to share the exact same damn 3 options that you didn't want the first time with you after you've asked to talk to a human. Like, what do you think that's resulting in, right? It's frustrating. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. I had a young lady come to us a while ago who owned a company that was all about authenticity. All right, specifically geared towards young girls accepting themselves. Like, right, hey, that's important to us. She wanted us to build something that would essentially take her image, perfect it, visually perfect her image, make her skinnier, grease her bust line, do her makeup for her every day. But the purpose of your organization is authenticity. That's a bad use case for AI, right? You guys seeing that? Like, AI is incredible. You can really muck stuff up, right? Management is an area of that, right? What we're seeing trends in management and AI right now are monitoring, which has created some hilarious, like downright hilarious responses, because as of now, we're still more clever than AI in most cases. So they've implemented things like, hey, if your mouse doesn't move 60 times in the next hour, you're not being productive. So, the local providers for oscillating fans started to sell a lot of oscillating fans. So you take 2 sticks on either side of it and it touches your mouse. Right? And now productivity skyrocketed. It didn't. You tried to force the technology into a place.
Lisa, you were a genius.
It didn't exist, right? And we're seeing that. So, like, okay, here's the deal.
They
How do you
actually
do
have
that
mouses that move themselves.
right? Because management can't be absent of AI. And, like, again, I've been doing this for a while, and a lot of this comes from my background in software, which is not all that different from AI. So, how do you do management well? At least some ideas on how to do it. Okay, we did the computer vision live demo. By the way, I'm open at the end if you guys want to get a little crazy with that. Read term of usage.
You can probably get them, yeah.
We talked about this. I do want to touch upon
Hey,
this.
Dave, quick question.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to give the slides out?
Absolutely, I can email slides to everybody.
Okay.
By the way, if you ever need to create a presentation, what's the tool you should use?
PowerPoint.
No, before the PowerPoint.
Oh.
Google, Gemini, Microsoft. Write a bunch of garbage and say, build me a beautiful presentation. I'll do your spell check, make it, it'll source stuff for you. Wonderful. Not that I used it to do
And so
this.
who do we do that with?
Well, any of Google, Gemini.
Oh, okay.
By the way,
I personally like PowerPoint the best so far.
so PowerPoint, you can do it in PowerPoint.
It makes beautiful presentations.
So, but by the way, if I asked it to, instead of slides, I could just say, hey, do this in PowerPoint.
Yeah.
I get asked this a lot, so let me answer this proactively. If you're going to spend your bucks on AI, Google Gemini. That's my favorite. It's capable in all the right ways, and not capable in the ways that, like, just aren't business oriented anyways. You got some tertiary ones like Perplexity is really cool if you need, like, annotated sourced information, engineering stuff. But Google Gemini is, in my opinion, all around probably your best choice. And it's $20 a month, like, for a crazy good model. Okay, so we talked about this a little bit, and let me just reiterate it. The single biggest AI secret now that is external companies are building thin wrappers. So when I say wrappers, this is what I talked about as far as, hey, we built an AI tool specifically for you. Here's how the math has changed. Whatever you're going to pay for that awesome AI tool that's built specifically for you, in a year's time, sometimes in 6 months' time, whatever you paid for that, if you come to me or companies like us, we'll listen to what you need and we'll build you exactly what you want, and you own it. So you're not paying for another piece of software to add on to the rest of the other piece of software that you have that you pay full price for, but use 25% of it. Custom is the new future for AI, because AI has touched on 2 spaces. One, it made development costs go down, and it's made the ability to create things far easier, right? So generics no longer your friend. The 1,090,000 startups out there with the new AI tools, that's going to be really disappointing in a year or two, because we can already build those things, but not generic. Plug them into the systems that you actually use, that match the processes that you already use, so that you don't have to buy somebody else's tool and then change a bunch of stuff in your company just to make the tool work. Does that make sense? Go ahead, Mike.
When you say we own it, what do you mean?
So I mentioned before,
Who's hosting the?
that's up to you. So hosting separate, if you want to, that's a good question. If you want to, we can go real wild and get you a dedicated server. That's yours. That nothing gets out of that, right? That's yours. You can do it redundant so that you have a cloud and your personal. But if some people get, again, it comes back.
If you're hosting it, then it's arguably not ours.
No, you would. You would own it. So again, you have options all along the way. If you want us to host it, if you want it to be purely cloud, good. If you want your own setup,
handle the tokens then. In order to access a language model, you have to have tokens. It's an API access.
So it would run through. So in the scenario that you end, let's say like you have a server at your shop. Like,
okay,
full build, it's yours. You have a server at your shop.
It's private. It's encapsulated within his environment.
Yes, so we're talking about two different levels here. So we're talking about the AI itself, and then the actual.
So you would build this as localized LLM.
Yes, at the end of the day. So that's
how much you charge for localized, because that would be hundreds of thousands.
It's not quite that much, but
for a localized LLM.
Yeah, not quite, but close.
Is it actually like from the ground up custom, or is it?
If you want to have this conversation, let's have it others, because I don't know if everybody understands what we're talking about. So what we're getting into now is like you have all your generalized models. You got Claude, you got Anthropic, Fable, all that stuff. But they have built their own, right? That they own that, and almost everything runs off of them in some way, shape, or form.
You need 256 gigabytes to run like medium model, basically unified RAM.
Yeah, but that's not custom.
So so realistically. All right, well, let's not put GDP there. But if you want to have that conversation, especially if you have somebody interested.
Because I wasn't going to ask how many NVIDIA chips that would take.
Those are going to be worth their weight in gold. Plus so again, you got layers because you got the AI itself, which can have some customization. The point I want to make here is when you use off-the-shelf models like directly, remember that information never really stays there. That's not necessarily always bad, by the way, because
everybody's.
It is, and we operate off a big system of trust there. Like your banking information, anything that goes to the cloud obviously has to leave where you're at, right? So again, don't get too worried about that. When you're buying somebody's product, the GCs, again, something general that was made for GCs, we really don't know where that information is going. It has to go somewhere at some point. Right now, you can do like on-site computing as well, or at least a large part of it. But the details of that, I don't want to get too far into. I don't think it's going to be too valuable here. The point would be, you get to keep the information you want where you need it. There's always going to be some computing power that needs to be done someplace else. The difference would be, your information is already available to Google and Apple. Have fun finding something that doesn't, unless it's completely closed off and doesn't talk to the internet. But in these cases where we're seeing people's employees and clients getting scalped, that's not by Amazon Web Services. That's by the guys that built their own that sell it to you because it's specifically for you, right? Now, to go a little bit deeper, we also built those for people. So if there's anybody in this room that thinks they have the system down pat, like, if you're the best painter in the world and you have that business model and you want to take that, stamp it, that's what's flooding the market right now. It's a bunch of people that have the systems that they want in place, that have built AI for themselves, that then extract that and then sell that model to other people.
I don't want to sell it. What I want to do is create my 35 to 50 robots. I want to be able to program them. I want to go out and do the scan of the home. And then I want to send them out in the next 15 minutes with the exact color and everything that they want. And I want them to ride on the trucks that are driven in AI. Boom, boom, boom. They show up. They all get out. Spray, spray, spray.
I don't know if I want that.
Come back home.
I don't know if I want that.
Who's what?
Who's going to clean the homes with that?
Another robot?
That's your
Julio the robot. What are you talking?
So to get back to it, Again, be cautious, man. Be cautious.
Yeah.
Just because it looks really cool. And by the way, again, been in software for quite some time. Just because if you go to somebody's site and you see Google, IBM, Amazon, that doesn't mean they've actually worked with those people. And when you see like millions of copies sold, that also doesn't mean that that's true. So like, please be careful. There's so many out there that I don't, and every day there's new, because here's another thing that's really kind of sucky about creating new AI tools right now. The moment you release it and it does really well, what do you think somebody else is going to do? Copy it, right? And you asked the question about who owns the art. Who owns the AI that uses somebody else's AI that's based off another system that uses somebody else's AI?
You own it.
Right.
The user owns it.
Silver trademarks, the most generalized.
Yeah,
view of
I mean,
it.
honestly,
Photoshop.
have
If you create an
fun.
image in Photoshop. You own
Have
it.
fun. I don't. And on top of everything else, and again, I don't want to just spend time like freaking you guys out. But it's really easy to steal stuff and just change the little logo. That's a real thing too, right? So
Just so you know, Smiley's in graphic arts and he does not do that.
he's the first guy. All right, so we're gonna move on.
Books, and I'm thinking about doing this.
All right, management is about people, not metrics. Metrics are simply the best tool we currently have to measure productivity in a standardized and scalable way. I want to make sure that makes sense before we move on. And it's about people, man. It's about getting people to do things in a way that's productive while still maintaining they're human beings and have to enjoy that to some capacity.
You can't turn your employees into a robot, so you can't treat them like
Can't, not yet.
There you go.
So metrics are important, right? You can't really manage effectively without having a standardized system that you say, hey, this effort or person is productive, this one is not. You need some kind of standardized system. So using active management isn't a dirty word. You absolutely can, but you gotta have it in the right places, man. Okay. Active capture. Most organizations use AI meeting note takers strictly to generate summaries that sit in unread folders. We're going to get into a little bit of, again, this is base level. This is stuff you guys could do. This does not take anything crazy, although bigger systems, when you start to want more of this, when you start to want all of the things we talked about, plus the things we're not talking about, you're moving into a place where you want something built for you. Okay. So who doesn't have an AI note taker at this point? Okay, one. Pretty much everybody else does, right? I got to a point where if every time I'd get on a meeting, I'd have to block off like 30 seconds because it would be like, Read AI is now taking notes. This is now taking notes. Otter is now taking notes. This meeting is now being transcribed. Like it got a little out of control.
Yeah, especially because Zoom just does it themselves now.
Right. So again, AI product is just built right alongside of it. So like, what do we do with that information? Because that's a lot of info, right? There are job positions in larger corporations where someone just take notes for a meeting. That's all they do. Well, that used to exist. So what do you do with that info?
Look at law firms.
Law firms, right? Paralegals. So what do you do with that info? What's like a practical use case alongside of management? Has anybody ever thought about that? Because it's a tool that's cheap, that's already available to you. And like, yeah, it's cool to be able to go back and remember that one thing you don't remember, right? That's good. That's useful. But what else?
We use it like for our team meetings, the staff, and then when it's done for that Zoom meeting, then I just send it to the office manager. She cleans up, does highlight points, and then it's a lot faster than her typing everything out. She's more focused on what we're saying rather than typing.
I love that.
There you go.
What
There you
about
go.
milestones?
Well, what?
Milestones. So we have a meeting, and so this is probably the thing that saved my life the most in this world. I'm on a call, and I say, "Hey, I'm going to get you those docs by the 9th." Okay, and then I go back doing 1,000 other things I have to do. You think I remember that I was going to give them the docs by the 9th? I don't.
No.
But my AI does because it doesn't stand alone. My notes get entered into a custom gem. That custom gem has the ability to schedule for me, has the ability to email for me, it has the ability to do a lot of things. So now when I'm in a meeting, I don't know when to get a report, I can interact with that information. And because it knows how we do scheduling as far as projects, so we work off something called Agile. Anybody that's done software knows what Agile is. It's a methodology of how to get shit done. It says, hey, humans are creative. We tend to do really wild stuff if we're not controlled. So we're going to basically have to come back every single time and say, hey, what were we trying to do a month ago? Have we made any progress on that? So we are talking about management now, right? We're getting into a point where we are managing a human resource in order to effectively execute on goals. So from your notes, whether that's from a client, whether that's from an internal meeting, what we can do is network these things into understanding that the context isn't just in this meeting. You have to understand what happened in the previous meeting.
Right.
And if that previous meeting was titled Goals for 2026, everything that I do from here on out, at least part of that should be put into the context of what we said in that first meeting, right? It's a lot for a person to remember. So we're in a meeting. We decide, hey, we're gonna overhaul our marketing. And as humans, we say, hey, if we don't get that done, this task by Q1, it's going to be really hard to do this in Q2. So, hey, we got deadlines, Q1. Okay, well, what needs to happen in order for us to meet that deadline of Q1? I have a milestone. It was developed by the C-suite guys. That can then be an overarching rule for my actual marketing team that has to do the work. It pulled that from a meeting, pulled it from our understanding. And by the way, that's two ways now. I can make sure I'm holding my marketing team accountable, basically autonomously, because we know the dates. And you say, hey, XYZ needs to be done. They can push information back up. Hey, unreasonable. Has to be the 15th because X happens on the 10th. Can't do it by the 9th. Okay, now we're using AI not to monitor people necessarily, right? We're not monitoring stupid things. We're not monitoring mouse. We're doing the things that we would have to do administratively, and we're doing it with something that's built specifically for that. Are you guys kind of starting to see how we would build a network out of that? Just meeting notes, nothing else. If you just integrate your meeting notes and what you talk about, and by the way, trust that the AI is going to remember. I know that takes a little bit. The only way to do that is to use it and build trust.
You can ask it to create a memory too, right?
You can ask it to. So take that further. You can spend a lot of time re-asking the machine to do things that you're probably going to ask it to do next time. Or you could say, hey, this is a standard now, right? So again, break up the three types of models we usually interact with. LLM, agents, agentic builds. This can do everything that those can do. But if we even just go to the part where we're doing Google custom gems, that now has the ability to do that and set things for the future. Hey, every meeting from here on out that I'm involved with him, make sure this happens. Does that make sense for you? So it's not that the things we're looking to build on top of the information are bad, but you should ask yourself the question almost every time, am I going to do this again next time? Is this going to be needed next time? Or better yet, is this going to be needed in a future meeting that I'm not thinking about right now? Because I have to go back to doing my work. So this is
on the skills tab.
What's that?
Because you find that skills, that goes in the skills tab.
Direction skill chart. You could probably answer it.
Each one has a different.
Yeah, quite a few.
Yeah.
So, I guess what I want to make sure is coming through here is when you're teaching your AI, and again, we've walked through how to do that in a gem. Please do continue to consider that an employee. And if you would tell an employee, this is how we do things, instead of do this once because we had a meeting, make sure you're telling the machine, hey, this is repeated. This is our standard procedure for this. At a later time, we'll get into SOPs and how to create them very easily, but let's move down the line a bit. The AI orchestrator. Instead, pipe those transcripts from Gemini to automatically extract timelines, identify owners, and assign tickets. Kind of already got into that a little bit. Does everybody understand what a ticket is?
Not at all. Okay.
Job work order.
Job work order.
Okay, so I have a friend.
Yeah.
And she has her husband and their 5 kids as a ticket.
That's a do. Okay.
And she actually deals with her arguments with AI. And AI tells her how to deal with the husband.
Okay, so good use. Right? Good use. I have an aunt who fights with my niece using AI, and it's I don't know how useful it is. Because here's at the end of the day, what you ask the AI to do is what it's going to do. And if the premise to that conversation is, hey, I want to have a peaceful long-term relationship with this individual, can you answer this question? You're going to get a different result than how do I win this argument? Right? At the end of the day. So tickets. There's a couple of things that I would need to understand in order to effectively use tickets, job orders, etc. Okay. I need to know who's responsible for that work. So I need to define the work. So we're in a meeting, we discuss that, we discuss its marketing. Well, if this thing's networked, if this is done well, it understands who's in the marketing department. As a matter of fact, it may understand who's the creative director, who's the person that actually does the drawing, and can create those tickets for us. So as we move into networking these things, these are systems that can not only remember stuff, but create actionable items in a scalable way. Because I don't need to be involved every single time on every interaction. Does that make sense for you guys?
Yes. Yeah, so basically what you're saying is I envision this as a ticket. I have a house. Apparently we didn't hit a gutter. I create the ticket, go back and do the gutter, and it tells who what they're supposed to do to go back and do the gutter, and the gutter goes to get done.
Yeah, and you can take that further, by the way, because you need to schedule it.
Yeah.
So we need to have knowledge of the schedule.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So again, every time you almost always, if you ask the question, can it do this? The answer is, if you give it enough, yes, probably.
Can I come back and tell it service level agreement? In other words, I don't agree that we should have anything more than 10 punch outs. We had 15. Why did we have 15? If we had already agreed on, XYZ, then why did we have PDQ?
So why couldn't it do that?
No, it should do that. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So, and then, here's another part, man, it's about like practical use case, like actually building something that works instead of the theoretical stuff. See, try that. And if it doesn't work the first time, look at the outcome that you got, and we're good. Like, we're smart, we're intuitive.
Right.
So if you don't get what you want, you get something else, you're probably going to know what went wrong. Right? There's going to be context, so you can figure out. And again, AI is not something that simply works every single time, all the time. The first time you try to create something new, it's getting better and better. That shouldn't scare you away from using it, because like it's the old adage, like
you're right.
Going forward with a not so great plan is better than like not going forward at all.
I agree.
Right?
You're right.
All right. So I often wondered, like, okay, what's like Elon doing with this stuff? Now, break that into two parts. Probably doing some things that like I can't even understand and couldn't imagine, and frankly, they scare me, right? What are the guys that have no dollar limit? The guys that have the models that we don't even know about yet. What are they doing? So spend a little bit of time. And one of the most pervasive things at Meta, Google, and all these other places are building managers for managers. Let me break that down a little bit. The process things that we just talked about, where I'm not offloading to AI. What's that?
Oh, no. What we're doing is for replacing people.
Yeah, right.
No, I've
middle management,
more confident.
middle management. Ooh, that's a scary place to be. It's a scary place to be because if you're a middle manager, you're doing all the stuff AI is really good at. Your C-suite guys don't need to be creative, don't need to be great. If you're a low-level manager, you're in the mix, right? You're well, hopefully not touching people, but you are interpersonal. Middle management is going to be replaced en masse because they're wardens, right? At the end of the day, right? So that's scary. So what are the guys at the top doing? They are, if Elon Musk were to be studied, the word he says probably more than anything else that I'm allowed to say is scalable, right? Scalable. Everybody says scalable. They are focused on, I've seen Bezos, it's the guy that owns NVIDIA now, him and Elon talk about creating management systems that manage systems. Well, that sounds super convoluted. Why would somebody want to do that? Because what you're going to end up doing, especially for guys who are first getting into AI, is you start creating little islands. Those islands are awesome. You're super impressed by them. but there's nothing that connects those items together. And that's sort of the graduate level. That's where you get into stuff where you can start stepping away from whole parts of your business. When you're creating an agent that now oversees the other agents that you created. And you can take that to infinity. It probably has a diminishing return at some point. But when those guys who make billions and billions of dollars come to the office, they do not have time to listen to everyone and all the metrics and all the data. They need condensed things. They need to know where they're needed most. I've heard them all at some point say something to the effect of, if I physically, there's not enough time in the day to put out all the fires that happen in this company. It's not possible. You're one guy. So they're building systems that flow the right information up to them while filtering out everything else and still talking to people. They still have meetings, right? Even the guys at the very top that have access to the coolest stuff ever, still talking with people, still inspiring, they're still doing all that stuff. Where they're using AI is to build systems so that they don't have to be involved in everything. Like he said, historically, the process of getting the right information to the very top included a lot of people that don't do anything besides getting the right information at the top. And if AI can do that better, not a great time to be a middle manager. All right, moving on. Or here. Okay, Peace Santa Claus. We're getting into the happy stuff. I've been building software for probably 15 years now, if that's what the slide says, so that's true. And we built some really cool systems that have failed. The number one reason, especially systems we build internally, so it's like for a company, you're not supposed to see it, is you got guys at the very top who build a system and they're so sure of, they don't listen to any of the guys that actually do the work. They don't listen to the little guys in their company. Don't tell anybody it's going to happen. Don't train anybody. Then they implement this system, or worse, buy something that's not even made for them and just say, hey, tomorrow everybody has to use this. How much do you think those people hate that? I already sort of don't like my job. Now tomorrow you're telling me everything that I've learned in the years I've judged through this is different and I have to do everything differently. I know I don't want to use it. The biggest killer of any sort of software technology is, man, you pitch it wrong. You scare people. This is going to replace your job. This is going to, well, instead, to be the gift giver. You have an opportunity with AI, especially at really simple levels. Go to your staff and say, hey, guess what? Those TPS reports that you literally spend all of Friday doing and you hate, you don't have to do them anymore. And in that situation, do not fire that lady. That'd be a crazy idea. Employees are still hard to find. There's still job open, right? You want to be the guy when you implement AI, especially in management systems, that gives the gifts to your employees so they don't have to do that thing that everybody hates and dreads. That thing is typically redundant, monotonous, and machines are just better at that anyways. What we have seen from implementing these things is that, man, we don't see people get fired en masse, especially in small businesses. Those people now they do creative things, especially if the CEO is actually with it and he's not begrudgingly introducing AI. Now he realizes that maybe he just freed up 60 hours of skilled labor that he just spent 10 years finding the right people. He knows their family, he knows all of those things. So again, the right use cases, especially in management for AI, is the things that people don't want to do, the things that machines are better at doing. Does that check out? Does that make sense? All right. There was a study, and I think I'll share this with you. It might be in the next slide. Okay, so limits in the height. We don't care if AI theoretically can answer faster. I mean, we care. We're like not monsters. But like, okay, cool. Maybe it can. Maybe it can't. What is that going to do for us right now? Not much. We care exclusively here about the practical daily force multipliers. The things that we just talked about. The things that like may not seem all that crazy impressive. Okay, cool. We scanned a sheet. Yeah, but you take that over a year's time, take that over a couple months' time. You now implement that across a company, across 6 people. You just took that 15 seconds. Maybe it takes them 15 minutes to do the report, whatever. That's now every day. But that's not where it ends. You didn't just take that 15 minutes away from them. They have now 15 minutes to do something else in the mix, right? So it's a multiplier. you're doing something that has impacts now, the day they don't have to do that. They also know they don't have to do that in the future, and you free up time on their schedule to do other things that are more productive. Invaluable expertise. This is why having an expert like us, of course, I had a name drop this a little bit, or a trained internal advocate. One of the cool new jobs that we've seen be created. The prompt engineer was there for a while. That kind of died off pretty quickly because people realized that you could train yourself up pretty
So
quickly.
now the small business automation.
So here's the part that we see being most valuable. Most people get to the point where they build a bunch of islands. Oh yeah, I use an AI for that. We got an AI for that. We bought a tool for that. It's not network. It's not talking to each other, right? And you can do that really poorly. You can do the same problems you can have in software. You can have an AI. You can have redundancy. You can essentially connect things in ways that are nowhere near efficient, not scalable as you grow them. You want to have an idea of where you want to end up when you start, right? So you hire, again, it used to be like a software engineer's role. Not all small businesses could afford a software engineer. This is new because an AI consultant, someone who really knows what they're doing, they really can be involved in a business for a month or two and walk away. Where a software engineer, yeah, you could do a lot in a year, in a month or two, but you're going to need them around. That's going to be a longer process. So we have seen the creation of that role. I'd like to think that a lot of kids that went for coding in college made that shift. It's a really bitter thing for someone who got a PhD in coding and now it's 2026. That's difficult. There's absolutely still a need.
Are they allowed to use AI in those kind of courses?
It's a good question because at what point in a college do you say, the moment you get out of here and get a job, they're going to require you to use AI. So I don't let you use AI during your education because it's not going to do you
Especially
any
in
good,
college, it's crazy.
right? It's like the calculator. I grew up, calculators were there. I still had to know the fundamentals. But at the end of the day, if I got 6 months and I got to train somebody the best I can on math, fundamentals are going to be involved, but I'm going to have to use calculator correctly. So, the job market is pretty competitive when you get out there. So, that's one of the questions. I don't know if we have a great answer yet. Yes.
What I was saying is, I think the worst thing is taking all those years, and as soon as they graduate, every education they have is obsolete.
That's tough.
Like instantaneous graduation.
That's happening to a lot of them.
It is.
My son went full sail.
It's taking the hope out of all of that generation.
And listen, here's the hope.
Still give educational
Oh,
reach.
yeah.
Here's the hope, right? About a year and a half ago, it was the first time in the life of our business where we had to say no. Like I can't take your project on because they're lovable, Replit. There's a bunch of systems out there. Amazing, great. There's a bunch of systems out there that allow the average person to code, and I'm telling you, yes, they can. And that is real on a pretty simplistic level. When it gets to be complex, we have multiple AIs. When you are setting up databases, you're doing security, and I stand on this, please get a professional involved. If there's something you're building on your own, you've never built software before that involves a payment processor, proprietary information, anything like that, you're going to trust your business on that piece of software. Do not go with yourself. It really is the same as a plumber. You got to know what you're doing.
You got to have the expert on.
You got to have the expert, man. By the way, you can hire freelancers. There's guys out there. But the idea, again, a year and a half ago, we could not take in all of the absolutely horrific software that was built on Lovable, Claude, Replit, you fill in the blank. Now, again, there's a bunch of other stuff that was built that was great. But we've had scenarios where people come to us, hey, it worked. I don't know what happened. Well, it worked for 3 months. I don't know what happened. I can't fix that in a day. Regardless of what you build, whether you coded it by hand or use the tool, when you take that and give it to an agency or anybody, they have to understand everything about that code before they start fixing it. Because AI will do what you ask it to. Fix the code. That is such a broad question. Fix can mean millions of different things. For instance, if you paid attention to the news about 3 months, fix our system. And it did. Deleted the entire database. The database was the problem. They had spent so much time on this database trying to get it right. No, it wasn't working. deleted it. It's gone. Yeah, that's a real thing. That's a real thing that happened.
Did they have cloud backup?
Probably to some degree. But here's I can't get into that. But
Excel
like
spreadsheet.
that happens on a much smaller level across the board. It's not often that Fortune 500 companies get to database. Okay. And again, they've probably got some backup replaced. They lost a lot, man. Lost a lot of stuff. Yes, please.
So, like when you've worked with companies, like we're thinking of using AI to answer the phone off hours, because they talk about us doing it during the day, but I'm still not trusting because with Medicare, I think people still want a live person answering the phone.
Some very strong opinions about AI in healthcare, but I will keep them to myself right now. So for something like that, okay, now I just spent all that time poo-pooing general off-the-shelf stuff. In the world of chatbots, in the world of I want AI to, I don't care what my company is, I want it to talk to a person, be amicable, learn our style. And hey, there's a defined set of questions that we're going to ask. I'm not going to let the AI answer complex policy questions. But there's 11 questions that get answered or asked 90% of the time. And people just want answers to them. Use cases for AI. If I call and I want a bank number, I want a routing number, I want something very simple. I don't care who answers the phone. I just want the information. Great use case for AI in a chatbot. If I'm trying to troubleshoot software, hardware, how do I schedule whatever? I don't know if AI is the best. Scheduling for very specific things. Like, hey, we have a process. You schedule with us. During that period of time, we do X, Y, and Z. Everybody knows that. Great use case. Comcast. Not a good use case. Because when people are calling in, they could be calling in for thousands of different reasons, right? And in my opinion, it's too early in the process for them to introduce that. After you've pushed a couple buttons and you've very clearly defined you want to start a new property, okay, involve that. When the abstractness is out of the problem solving, involve AI. Because I just want answers. When I need to figure out what my problem is first, based off of your company's knowledge, not a great time for AI. Not yet.
I think you brought before basically the question, like what does the top people do?
Yeah.
And my companies use AI call takers and we schedule everything through, and it's lead generation, emails, call takers.
And who do you use? What do you use? Okay, so
yeah,
here's the thing.
Yeah, but it's like with that,
it's so cheap to build. They're so easy to build.
But people can't even tell it's a person or an AI. Like literally, we have it breathe, we have it clear its throat. Like literally,
you by the way,
like you ask a joke, it will talk to you and laugh.
So
that's what they're telling me. Like,
here's the danger.
Yeah, I know that is. Yeah.
Do you want that?
No.
Which one's one?
That's a big question. So in the world of
Vappy, whatever you want to call it.
hey, do I want my AI to actively lie to people and tell them I'm not AI? That's a big gray area.
Right.
I don't think it's ethical at all.
Right.
You got to be careful.
Why would you think it's not
But
ethical?
lying,
Yeah, but it follows HIPAA laws. Like
following the law and being ethical are two very different things. We know that, right? No, that's a hard statement. I would make that. That concerns me. Following the law and
what do you
very
like for a call taker? What do you find is like?
So she asked the question, what is capability?
Yeah, like you're.
I don't like. So it's a gray area now where your AI can claim the human.
Yeah.
Like if I ask it directly, you could buy it. That's real well shown.
So it lies to you.
You tell me.
I can say
And by the way, what's so bad about that? By the way, what's so bad about your AI?
I'm also 6'5".
Everybody lies.
What's the big deal about getting comfortable with AI lying? What could go wrong?
I can tell you, I have a doctor who used it for a diagnostic. Got it wrong.
Well, you got it wrong when you use it for diagnostics.
And some attorneys.
That's why it's called a
Yeah, by the way, as a company, there's specific places to stay away from. One, believe it or not, my personal opinion is I don't see that there's any need for any more 18 plus platforms. Personally, there's enough. If you want to feed stuff, okay, that's out there. We don't participate in it. when we start to get questions about, hey, is it legal to, oh boy, I don't know, you know, because here's the other scary thing. What's legal today, I don't know. When you're on the fringe, I don't know what's next. We're changing laws quick. The IP is a great question. We're changing laws quick. The IP is a great question. And again, I don't want to give you more confusion, but I want to convey to you that, like, even the state and the feds aren't sure. Like, when they banned Fable, they used law precedent for uranium because we didn't have anything written for AI specific. Like, that's the scenario we're in now, right? Got a little bit more time. So again, the point isn't to scare the shit out of you. The point is for you guys to know the guys at the top, the lawmakers, they don't know what they're doing.
That's a fact.
Even more than normal, right?
It's true.
Even more than normal. We had a great guy speak on IP, and he'll tell you if you ask, like, it's so convoluted. We're setting precedents for stuff as we go. That's scary. So when I say setting precedents, we're basically doing things, and then after they're done, we're saying that's legal. We're good. That's legal. We talked a little bit about bots, right? So he mentioned he has a system, right? And by the way, chatbots are easy. They're scary easy to build because you base them up an LLM, most of the work's done for you. That's what an LLM is. It's a general understanding of how people communicate in the history of conversations. When Elon wasn't called first Twitter before it was X, his big claim was, hey, there's like 40% bots on this platform. They're not authentic users. I don't want to buy it for that price. And they said, no, that's crazy. It turned out that it was more than that. So like, okay, who cares, right? Who cares if there's a bunch of bots? Well, I'll explain to you why that's important. If the average person goes on the internet on X and they are completely deluged every day, all day, this person did this thing, they're awful. And no argument. You really think they're going to dig deeper? You really think that the general public, when they go onto social media and all they see is this thing's bad, kills you, it's cancer, whatever.
Millions of people. Millions of bots.
Millions. That's not what happens in reality. In reality, the average person goes on and sees that everybody believes this thing about that person or this product or that's bad or whatever. You couldn't do that as a person. If me and you sat down, we could only do so many posts. Like, we could only argue on Discord so long before we lost our minds and grew neckbeards. If me and you decide to create a bot farm of 40,000 bots that do two things and two things only, create other bots, and find people who are talking about this specific keywords and just argue with them, just tell them that they're stupid.
And then block everybody else.
And then block everybody else.
That's meta.
Me and him have the power that used to take a nation to do. Right? AI is first foray into the world in that use case showed us that bad actors who had enough money could sway public opinion in some really freaking scary ways. Like, really scary ways. Again, we're not ready for generated images, man. We're not ready for deepfakes. People believe them. Like, you may think you don't, but you've probably been influenced by somebody else who has believed them and told you that's the truth. Like, it's a spooky scenario.
Like, sort of got spooky for me because it just automatically captured ourselves, and then you post on social media and you got family, they're like, what are you doing riding an alligator? Like, sorry. I didn't mean.
But it's not the alligator ones that's scary. It's, again, I'm not going to get political, but there was a picture of a possible current president, right, with people who are very young. Maybe that did happen. I don't know. I'm not getting involved in it. This picture, though, looked great. Besides, he had 6 fingers and 1 more leg. I thought. So, like, I want you to think that. Like, take that in. Like, if you see that enough, the general public sees that enough. It's going to have an it used to be me and Steve disagree. I make a big fuss. He makes a big fuss. Kind of doesn't really go in.
Yeah, we say, hey, it looks like a duck, walks like a duck. What, you don't think it's a duck?
We say that.
What?
Now, you're stupid. Now. But now I can create 40,000 bots that tell the whole internet that, yeah, it's not a duck.
Right?
Wrong about it. Not a duck.
The people talk, they said it from.
Couple interesting facts, man, to kind of get you guys a little more sold. And that like really is one of the biggest barriers to folks using AI. So McKinsey, what is McKinsey famous for? They're a consulting firm. They are the biggest consulting firm in the world. There's two, McKinsey and what's the other one? McKinsey and there's two of them, right? Maybe the Rand Corp, throw them in there. All they do is tell people how to do stuff. They're professional consultants. It is very expensive to work for them. They did a study on AI. And the biggest determining factor, small to large business, doesn't matter on whether AI actually produces a return, which should be something that you should worry about in your company, to actually producing a return. Because believe it or not, you can use AI for a ton of stuff and lose money, right? It's just a tool. If you use it really poorly, we've come into situations where there's a corporation of 50 people, half of them are using their own models to do work. Like the same one they do their dryer and laundry list on. I can't get into why that's a bad idea. Because by the way, those models use memory that's now including I need to get Tide dish soap with my TPS reports. So biggest determining factor was that this is wild.
Yeah.
The CEO is the one that drives strategy for the AI. That might sound, what do you mean? Of course. No. There isn't room for the company that exists that the CEO does not understand AI and doesn't really care about it, and everyone else does. Not a world where that works. Not any longer, right? Used to be you could get some really cool stuff done because maybe your bookkeeping, your accounting guys did some stuff really efficiently. As time goes on, more and more companies use AI. They get better at AI, which means the tide is rising. The expectation, the minimum bar to surviving as a company goes up as AI gets adopted. So I don't need to say this. The longer you wait, the worse it is for you. We'll move past that. We'll say been doing this for a little while. This is an important part. If you are one of those individuals who either wants to teach others or wants their company to use this and be comfortable or learn it yourself, period, end of sentence, full stop, there's no better way than to physically show someone in front of them how it's done. There is 1,000 online courses on strategy, tactics, how you're supposed to do it, the best way. Some 20-year-old in sweatpants next to his Lamborghini wants to sell you the AI $1 million business, whatever, blank. I've done this for a while. Try it. Do it. Fail at it. You can watch another guy. You can pay for his courses. You might get something out of it. At the end of the day, we're dealing with a technology that has the ability to adapt to you, not something general. So use it like that, right? General stuff really isn't a big deal anymore. It's not that impressive. Price tag means the next guy can build it. I'm not a big fan of new AI companies. It's scary, especially if that's all they do. Somebody's going to do what they do, and they're going to do it quick. We can build models that do whatever you want for the company itself instead of renting it for someone else. So those companies aren't going to have a long life. It's becoming too easy to build something specifically on what you want, and it's very affordable to do. So to wrap that up, I want to go into more questions if you guys have them. It's frustrating. AI is frustrating because it's inevitable. You cannot get around it. There isn't a way to say, I'm not going to do it. I hate that. That sort of scares me. You need to interact with it if you want to have a place in the economy that's here now, in the market that's here in the future. It's a necessity. It's no longer a plaything. It's not a convenience. You need to. I fear, and I think this mirrors a lot of people in the industry, the biggest consolidation of wealth the world has ever seen will take place if the average person doesn't start using this like they use the internet. Because we're seeing it right now where companies don't even care about buying your company. They want your book of business. Why? I'll tell you why. Because they built a model that runs their company really, really well. And they don't care how you ran your company, even if you made more money. They care about feeding the system they know that works. And AI is scalable, which means whether you have 1, 10, 10,000, it's probably going to work relatively the same. So we need the average guy to use it. We need entrepreneurs to be entrepreneurial. We need them to build their own systems. We need them to get involved, make new cool things, because that is the future. So, level 1, tasks. We talked about that. Your LLM can do tasks. Your agent can do tasks. Custom gems gives you memory, gives you more ability, gives you the ability to add context, give it a mission. Level 3, all the gems. Now the gems can talk to each other. Now we have a system. We don't have to write something on paper, give it to somebody else, so they can put it in the gem. That makes no sense. The last is a full system. It is run by an agentic build that can understand, improve, update, be proactive, give you suggestions, and move you into the future. Because we're also moving away from a time where we tell AI what to do and start asking it what it would recommend we do. That's a little spooky. Here's a cool tagline: let's build together. And there's my sources. Questions, man. I want to hear questions.
Dave, I apologize, and I don't mean to hog everything, and nobody asked a question. Let's go back to, real quick, just want to review, you get in the car with me, and, Dave, you'll get in the car with me for the right place. So, anyway, so you're gonna get in the car with me, and we're gonna drive into Lee County, and I'm gonna have a database with me, and we're gonna ask it, hey, who is ready to buy from me today for any of my painting jobs, and we're going to go into the database, and the database is going to tell us who's ready to go.
Okay, so pause for a second. I made a statement at the beginning that this is a technology that is simultaneously vastly overestimated and underestimated at the same time. The answer to your question is, yeah, you can do that, but you need other things as well. You remember, AI needs everything you need to make that decision. It still needs markers. So don't let that overwhelm you. How do you get to the point, Steve, where you are defining what would qualify those clients as actionable?
I need anybody that did a search within the last 2 weeks on any search engine looking to.
All right, well, that's a big ask. How would you get that info?
Well, we're going to have the bot go out and look for it, right?
So you were at this is good. No, this is good. This is good troubleshooting.
Or Dave's in the car with me.
I'm not capable of doing that. You just created a task that involves you accessing the world's search engine.
No, I want to calculate it just for Lee County. So you want to be able to find those searches, which in Lee County, of those URLs that people look for their homes.
Okay, doable, but what you're going to need is a way to track people's searches.
Right.
That's not legal. What, you know what I mean? So,
what do you mean it's not legal? Oh, bro.
Well, I
So
mean,
you change your search to homes over 40 years with an average age of a person at 7 years old.
There you go.
There you go.
good. So that's actually super smart, right? Because instead of trying to get the people's search history, Steve, you're now finding another way to do that. And by the way, that's like good engineering. Do that, right? Because remember, any one solution you want, there's probably a couple ways to do that, right? 4 times 4, 16, but 8 plus 8 is also 16. We can break that down and do a lot, right? So there's other ways to get there.
Right.
The biggest limitation for AI right now on doing things like that is how do you get the info?
Right.
Which ties me back to, if you think databases aren't important, you're crazy.
Right.
Databases are so important. We've had clients who build apps with us that sell stuff, physical products. And at some point in that business life cycle, the information of their clients becomes just as valuable, revenue generating, as the products they sell.
I don't know why.
Right? And that's a microcosm, and that works in your business too. You do it all the time. You now have access to something that can build the databases for you, organize the databases for you, whatever you want to do. So like keep doing more of that stuff. The only thing you need to learn is when you run into, okay, so how do I get the information of who's searching who? You can take that, and instead of saying, hey, I can't figure out who was searching on their home computer, again, that's illegal, but who came to my website? Because they're searching for something. And then you can, by the way, this is how information becomes really popular. Okay, Jen has a painting company. I know you. What do you do again, Steve?
I'm in restoration. I'm also in power washing and painting.
Interesting. So how do you increase the size of your database?
Right.
A couple different ways. You can call people and add them, or you find strategic partners that have you don't want to paint stuff.
You have data.
That's not what you want.
Yeah.
You want her database.
I have a list of 10,000 realtors she might like. I don't know, to just partner.
I don't really want to.
Yes, I love her.
So you start working and you have 100,000 clients. I have 100,000 clients. You don't sell what I sell, but I have a system. I got my database. I built it. What's that worth to you? 100,000 new clients potential that I have all the information for. Yes, sir.
So that's actually an interesting point.
Yeah.
Once you get the data, how do you get the opt-in? Like, is it that her terms of service have to allow that she can give that away? Or-
Super tricky, by the way, to do that. You give them something for free and then they will opt in and then you have.
So that I'm talking about, I'm talking
Yeah, you
about
could do that.
I went and got a list, right?
Yes.
You can buy those all day, every day.
Some good, some bad. Yeah.
Exactly. But if I go out and I buy 100,000 names, now legally, how can I contact you?
What were the terms
If I
and
didn't get the
conditions of that list? It's, by the way, when it comes to databases being built on lists that you didn't generate organically,
Yes.
Here's basically the rules. However they were acquired is the precedence for that data moving forward. However they were originally acquired,
Okay.
which could be really great or really terrible, because this may not, I don't know how well it's going to work. Has anybody ever read the terms and conditions for TikTok?
For who?
TikTok.
No, I never. That's weird.
You want me to sum it up for it?
Yeah,
Sure.
Anything that lives on your phone, I'm going to have access to. Pictures, other apps, information stored on other apps, search history, banking information, everything.
What if you don't allow it to access your pictures?
You say no,
Okay.
and it can't access your pictures.
Oh, yeah.
So
I have it as.
Maybe you gotta select every time, create a ticket.
And that's another thing, by the way. We've been training to just skip over terms and
Yeah.
conditions, and they have taken advantage of that.
Yeah.
Well, like now they're using, what is it, AI casting. So they will take your likeness and cast
Yeah.
you in TikToks that your friends can use
Yeah,
without your permission.
spooky.
Yeah, you have to literally go into every video and
The
turn off.
18 plus content, that is what scares me more than anything else.
Yeah.
It horrifies me. 'Cause you don't have solid lines on what you can and can't do. And I'm horrified about how people, especially teenagers,
Yeah.
will use that to hurt other teenagers.
Yeah.
We've already seen what people can do with words.
Even grown ass people, honestly.
For
I've seen
sure.
grown ass women
For
do
sure.
that.
Yeah.
You're right.
So like, again, this wasn't the point of the talk, but like one of the things this is important to me because I'm in the industry is like, I want you to know that they don't know what they're doing, man. And this is a big issue. This can hurt us. I'm an optimist. I believe that we're going to work the kinks out. Again, in the 50s, GM and Ford both had prototypes, put small nuclear reactors in everyday sedans. That's a real thing we thought we were going to do. Thank God we didn't. Because instead of a fender bender, you have Chernobyl, right? We have the movie Chernobyl on Pine Ridge and Livingston. So we've done this before with really powerful technology, right? But I guess what I'm saying is that didn't happen in a vacuum.
Yeah.
A lot of people said, hey, radiation sickness is pretty awful. Maybe we shouldn't do that,
Yeah.
even though you'd never have to fill up on gas.
Although they solved getting cancer at that time.
Now we have AI for triple tiny reactors in a valve. Yeah.
Really dirty question. It goes all the way out back to basics, but I haven't looked it up. What's our parameter? Because
I do.
each model gets more and more, we're up to the trillions of parameters. What is the one parameter?
For
Say, hey, I'm out late, they say how smart it is, how many parameters it is. So, say you have your own AI system built into your own PC that's strong enough to do these one basic.
I haven't
You can't check some of the parameters. Well,